She wasn't listed anywhere. She couldn't even see over the front desk without rising onto her toes. Yet when 7-year-old Leah Thompson stepped inside one of Seattle's most influential corporations, clutching a weathered leather portfolio, no one could have foreseen what would follow. She hadn't come for herself. She came in her mother's place, her mother who lay in a hospital bed fighting for her life. What began as a small act of devotion soon became a spark that would uncover buried truths and transform the lives of everyone involved. Stay with the story until the end to find out what happened, and let us know which country you're listening from. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. The morning sun reflected off the towering glass walls of Halcyon Dynamics, one of Seattle's most powerful firms. The marble lobby buzzed with activity as executives hurried past, gripping coffee, cups, and briefing folders. But in the midst of the crowd stood someone who didn't belong. 7-year-old Leah adjusted her tiny backpack and looked up at the 50-story skyscraper. Her golden braids bounced as she whispered to herself, "You can do this, Leah." In her hands, she carried the scuffed leather portfolio. Inside were her mother's credentials, resumes, and a carefully prepared presentation. Monica Thompson, her mother, was supposed to be here that morning. But the night before, she had been rushed to St. Clair Memorial with a severe case of pneumonia. Inside the lobby, Leah made her way to the reception desk. "Excuse me," she said firmly, balancing on her tiptoes. "I have a 9 a.m. interview with Mr. Jonathan Pierce. I'm here for my mom, Monica Thompson." The receptionist, Diana, stared at her in surprise. "Sweetheart, where are your parents?" Leah straightened her shoulders. "My mom is in the hospital. She worked all night on this presentation. She really needs this job, please." A tall man in a charcoal suit paused behind them, his sharp blue eyes narrowing at the exchange. Jonathan Pierce, CEO of Halcyon Dynamics, had overheard. "What's happening here?" he asked. Diana hesitated. "Mr. Pierce, this little girl says she's here for her mother's job interview." Jonathan studied her closely. "What's your name, young lady?" "Leah Thompson, sir." Something flickered across his expression. He extended his hand. "Come with me, Leah. Let's hear what your mother prepared." In the polished executive suite, Leah perched on a leather chair, her legs dangling far above the floor. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, highlighting plaques and magazine covers that displayed Pierce's stern face. "So, Leah," he said with a raised brow, "tell me about your mom." Leah opened the portfolio with practiced care. She was a project manager for 8 years at ClearPath Consulting. She has a PMP certification and an MBA. They let her go last month when the company shut down. "And why does she want to work here?" "Because we need health insurance," Leah answered simply. "And she says your company helps people." Jonathan was caught off guard. Adults usually sidestep talk of salary and benefits. This child spoke with unflinching honesty. He skimmed through the presentation. It was sharp, detailed, and professional. "Who's taking care of you right now?" "Mrs. Briggs next door checks in, but she's old. I can handle myself. I even make my own lunch." His chest tightened. "Where's your father?" "Gone. He left when I was a baby. It's just me and Mom, but we're a good team." Pierce pressed his intercom. "Tanya, cancel my next meeting and get me the attending physician for Monica Thompson at St. Clair Memorial." "Are we going to see my mom?" Leah asked. He nodded. "Yes. I want to meet the woman who raised someone like you." At St. Clair Memorial, nurses bustled as Jonathan and Leah walked the corridors. Leah guided the way, far too familiar with the sterile halls. In room 317, Monica lay pale and weak, connected to tubes and monitors. Her eyes widened. "Leah, what are you doing here?" "Mom, this is Mr. Pierce. I went to your interview. He brought me here." Jonathan stepped forward. "Ms. Thompson, your daughter just gave me one of the most compelling presentations I've heard in 20 years. Monica struggled to sit up, flustered. "I'm so sorry. She never should have gone. I meant to call." She did what she thought was right, and she impressed me. When you're well enough, we'll schedule a proper interview. Until then, please have the billing office call this number. She looked at the card in disbelief. I can't accept this. It's an advance. Halcyon takes care of its people. Over the next week, Laya became a familiar presence at Halcyon. Jonathan arranged transportation and supervision. She spent afternoons in a spare office beside his, finishing homework and occasionally offering ideas. "You could save money if you changed your supply chain," she remarked one afternoon. He chuckled. "And where did you learn that?" "Mom thinks out loud a lot. Plus, your assistant gives me business magazines. I still like Batman, though." By Thursday, Jonathan's demeanor had shifted noticeably. His assistant, Tanya, observed, "She reminds you of someone, doesn't she?" He said nothing. But hidden in his desk drawer was a silver photo frame. His late wife Elizabeth and their daughter Grace, both gone 17 years ago. When Monica recovered and came in for her official interview, Jonathan offered her the job. He also unveiled a new initiative, flexible schedules for parents inspired by Leia, but not everyone was pleased. Cynthia Morell, head of HR, and Walter Langford, an old-school board member, accused Jonathan of favoritism and distraction. Soon after, a Wall Street Journal article leaked confidential details about Jonathan's past and questioned his objectivity. Suspicion quickly fell on Cynthia. At an emergency board meeting, tensions ran high. Monica spoke first, challenging the ethics of the leak, which had not only threatened Jonathan's reputation, but also dragged her own personal life into the public eye. Jonathan followed calmly, producing printed email records and metadata. The evidence was clear. Cynthia Morell was the source of the leak. "This isn't just a policy breach," Jonathan said, his voice steady but cold. "It violates everything this company claims to stand for." Within minutes, the board voted, unanimously. Cynthia was stripped of her position and escorted out by security. Not long after, Jonathan received a package containing damning evidence from the past. During Langford's tenure as CEO, the company had systematically excluded working mothers. One memo even advised rejecting his late wife Elizabeth's request to return to work. Shaken, he showed the documents to Monica. Together, they proposed a daring plan: full corporate transparency. Halcyon would publish its past failures alongside new family-forward policies. At the next board meeting, Jonathan and Monica laid everything out. Shock rippled through the room. Walter Langford dismissed the evidence as outdated, but Monica countered firmly, "Maybe the times didn't change. You just made sure they didn't." After tense deliberation, the board cast their votes. One by one, hands rose. The decision was decisive. Walter Langford was expelled from the board. Gasps and murmurs followed, but Jonathan pressed on. "I propose we make the Family Forward Initiative a permanent foundation of Halcyon Dynamics' mission." The motion passed. The program became official company policy. For Monica, Jonathan, and the families it would touch, it was more than reform. It was redemption, validation, and a new definition of corporate success. Weeks later, Jonathan visited Monica and Leia at their home. The warmth and clutter were a stark contrast to boardrooms and skyscrapers. Leia eagerly showed him her science project. Laughter filled the room. "You're different here," Monica said softly. "So are you," he replied. "For years, Halcyon was all I had. But maybe there's more." She raised a glass. "To second chances." He shared his vision. The Reynolds Family Foundation, dedicated to helping companies create family-friendly workplaces. Monica would serve as executive director. Leia would be their honorary child consultant. A year later, in the same lobby where it all began, the foundation launched. Business leaders gathered as Leia proudly handed out flyers. Jonathan took the stage. One little girl reminded us that family isn't a burden to business, it's our greatest asset. The crowd erupted in applause. Jonathan glanced toward Monica, now wearing Elizabeth's silver bracelet with a wedding ring beside it. "Ready for our next adventure?" He whispered. "We were ready the day she walked into your lobby," Monica replied. Laya wrapped her arms around them both and whispered, "We did it." And if a 7-year-old child can walk into a corporation and change its course, and even a CEO's heart, then what quiet act of courage might you take today that could change everything? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know what this story meant to you. Please subscribe to our channel and thank you for listening.